Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Tactical Review live stream. Once again, joined tonight by Elias Ward of the Liberty Review podcast. Elias, welcome. Maybe I can English tonight. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not doing too bad. How about yourself?
I am doing okay, aside from a short night's sleep because my body decided that staying asleep was not a thing that needed to happen. So, yeah. You know, mine wasn't as short as yours, though.
Last night. Yeah. No, for some reason I didn't feel like going to sleep either. Don't know why, but that's life.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, let's see. We've got Duval Farms. Hey, did you guys happen to find any ammunition over there for Duval Farms? If not, and ammunition scarcity is something that I'm going to talk about because Elias, I know you said that you got in about 75% of an order you placed, and you're still waiting on a big chunk.
Yeah, I mean, they keep pushing out the ship date on that, so who knows when that's going to happen.
I was super excited today that I got on Bass Pro Shop and placed an order for 300 rounds of 9mm, and I got an order confirmation before I got the credit card notification, so I thought, hey, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And then when I checked on the order, it's not scheduled to ship until like the end of April or the beginning of May, and it hurt my heart. So, okay. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what you guys are looking for. I did see last night SG Ammo. That's sgammo.com, and that's going to get us shut down by the YouTube bots. So anyway, they were back online. They've had to be taking their website down off and on because due to the laws out there, they are in Colorado, I think. I don't remember. Maybe it's Oklahoma. Anyway, it's a family-owned business, and they've gotten down to where it's just the husband and wife who are in the shop fulfilling orders. So if their website's up, they are running about 5 cents a round more than what I was paying a month ago, but that's pretty typical in the environment. Other than that, you can go through ammoseek.com, and that's a search engine and aggregator for ammunition. Search for your caliber or what gauge you're looking for, or reloading components or magazines. It's a pretty awesome website.
Yeah.
So, yeah, such is life. And depending on what you guys are looking for, feel free to reach out to me. Sorry, guys, this is Duval Farms specifically. Reach out to me on a side channel, and I'll see what I can do short term for you guys. Because
everybody starts emailing you looking for how to find some ammo.
Right. I start getting emails from Ian McCollum looking for 7mm French short, and I'll be like, I don't have any of that either. So. Anyway, A-Dubs, welcome. Riemann Scimitar, good evening, sir. George Washington, you haven't missed anything yet.
No, I would say George Washington's missed a lot. Things have really changed.
Well, okay. That's why he's here, is he got tired of rolling over in the grave. We got Brownies in the house. Good evening, everybody. So, ammo scarcity. It's ongoing. Obviously, be calling your local firearms retailers who have been nationally identified as essential businesses. So, in spite of some other major downfalls and failures on the Second Amendment, I do applaud President Trump for putting his foot down on that. Yeah, I don't know where else to go with that. All right, Duval Farms out for internet issues, and that's been ongoing kind of for everybody. I think that a lot of service providers have just realized how not ready to hit full scale that they kind of are. It's funny because last Sunday. So my church does two services. One is, it's kind of a more, I'm going to call it spiritual milk service. It's not exactly right, but and then the main service, which is meant to be a little bit more of a traditional service. those lines have gotten blurred since we laid that out. And usually I miss the first service because I am teaching a Sunday school class at that hour. Of course, since we're, all staying at home, that's not happening. And so live streaming the first service, we don't have any issues. But then come the 10:30 hour when we try to live stream that second service, our church is actually having bandwidth issues on the upload, as so many certain churches are hitting YouTube's platform. Because honestly, there aren't tons of live stream options out there that are freely available platforms. So I'm looking forward to when BitChute launches live streaming. Hopefully I will be able to figure out how to use OBS and simulcast to both the YouTube channel and the BitChute channel. So if you guys aren't following the channel on either Gunstreamer or BitChute, I would definitely recommend doing that, just in case YouTube decides to go full on anti-2A and starts actually deplatforming. Because if I get deplatformed here and deplatformed through Facebook, then you guys will have no idea where to find me. So that's what you can do. Alrighty.
We'll make our own internet.
I don't want to do that. I mean, I kind of want to do that, but I don't really want to do that. I'm not that creative. So, oh, Elias, I was telling you earlier, I don't know if you had a chance to click the link, and I don't know, is Ninja Scout in here? Sometimes Ninja gets on here, sometimes he doesn't. Picked up a new knife the other day, and that knife series is, still kind of in the wings. I feel like grabbing 6 dozen apples to just chop up and maybe not be able to eat seems a little wasteful at this juncture in time. So I'm sure I could find 6 dozen apples. It's just a matter that I would feel, I was going to feel very wasteful anyway. It felt a little frivolous, but right now when, people are having a hard time getting out and getting food, not something I want to do. Switch Pod's in the house. Welcome, Switch Pod. Edward Kent, howdy. So anyway, in the budget survival knife series, of course, we have the wild card Cold Steel GI Tonto. The little bit I've messed with it, very happy with it, but it is just a lot of knife. It's a 12 inches overall. We got 6 inches from the actual ricasso up to the tip. As much as I've tried messing around on my battle belt and on my plate carrier, I'm just not sure that this is going to be something that is going to be an on-body carry. So,
yeah,
I got looking.
A little big for every day.
It is. Well, it certainly wouldn't be an everyday carry. That would raise some eyebrows. But I did pick up the Cold Steel Mini Tack Bowie knife. Has a 3 3/4 inch blade. Now the one thing I don't like is it's a pinky dangle. They've got that nice choil in there, so you could grab third finger and then it drops right in. They've also got a Mini Tack Tonto. If you guys are a big fan of the Tonto style, these are running around $20 to $25 last time I checked. Anyway, Razor Sharp has Cold Steel's lifetime warranty, and this does have really good texture there. I think we can see it. Really good texture on the handles, which I discussed in the video with the GI Tonto. I felt like those handles were a little slick. So anyway, if you guys are looking for something that's not a 1 foot long knife, that comes in at just under 6 inches, I think. You guys might use that as an EDC. I do personally typically carry a fixed blade knife in my EDC kit as a space maker, one of those, oh crap, this has all happened a lot faster than I anticipated, and I have it set up for an offhand draw. That way if I'm grappling with my strong arm, I've got something to get to.
Nice.
Poor Conservative, how you doing? Let's see, anybody else new in here? Greg Lindsay wants an M9. Yes, I would like an M9. Someplace, I get so much stuff, and I follow a lot of the retailers and a lot of YouTubers that I watch on social media, and someplace just got in a huge mess of surplus AK bayonets. So if somebody else saw that and you remember who that was, you can drop that into the live chat. Just obviously you guys can't drop links, and YouTube would be kind of crappy about dropping a link to some place who sells stabbies and pew-pews. So, all right. What do we have on the docket today, Elias? I've slept since... Oh, no, I haven't slept since then.
No, you really haven't. You just wished you did.
Correct. Well, for one thing, did you guys see... We've got some conflicting numbers. Elias and I were talking about this, I think, most recently before joining in the Skype call. New record on NICS background checks set in March. And actually, every month so far this calendar year has set new NICS records. But there were 3.75 million NICS checks run last month. Congratulations, everybody. That's impressive. That is up 1 million from March of 2020, and nearly it's up like 900,000 over February. So really pretty impressive numbers there. The NRA estimates that 2.5 million firearms were sold. I'm not sure where they're getting that number, because obviously those NICS checks aren't guaranteed. It's not 3.75 million approvals. But on the flip side, I think more than one of us has probably had a Form 4473 with more than one serial number on it.
Right. Yeah.
How much?
I question the NRA's number.
Yeah. How much do I want to bet that that's from the People's Republic of California? No bet, because I think that there are a lot of those who are from some very unfortunate people who didn't understand that the policies that they voted in meant that they weren't leaving with a firearm that day.
Not for several days.
Yeah. And then they got locked down, and then in LA County, we had good old Sheriff Villanueva, if I'm reading that right. I don't speak Spanish, but I think that's the way it's pronounced. He originally had determined that gun shops were non-essential businesses and had forced them to close. Well, a lot of the gun stores there, let me back up. So in California, of course, you have to run the standard Form 4473, but then they have, within their state or within certain counties, I'm not sure if it's statewide or if it's county by county, and Elias can maybe help me with this, but they have a 7-day cooldown period after your 4473 is approved. A
lot of it's county. I know California delegates a lot of that stuff down to the counties of how they want to handle.
Okay. And see, that blows my mind. I know that there were times in history where there were national waiting periods, but every time I have purchased a firearm, I have left that day. Now, it may have been an hour, it may have been a couple of hours, but I've left that day with a firearm in hand. Now, part of
one time I had Nevada, but that was because I didn't have a CC at Nevada. If I had had one, they would have given it to me that day.
Gotcha. See, now, and the funny thing is I've caused myself no end of problems because I have a habit of when I don't need to. Okay, yeah. preface this with my current driver's license has my current address on it, but I have a bad habit of when I move residences, but I'm within the same general area, I fill out all of the the change of address stuff, and I file with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, but I don't always pay that extra like $20 for a new piece of plastic. Right. So with their records are up to date. It's just that my actual driver's license sometimes is not, and we won't get into what I've just admitted to right there. But twice in my life, I've been in that situation, and then, not thinking about it, went to purchase a firearm. And one of the questions on the 4473 is, does your driver's license have your current address on it? Now, fortunately, they do accept as long as you have a valid photo ID, they accept other forms of secondary identification. A military ID card, that can just be your photo ID. But for us civilians, just FYI, as long as your address is current on your vehicle registration or your voter registration card and you have those with you, you can use those in conjunction with your driver's license. Now, certain states may not allow that, but as far as the federal is concerned, that's okay. And
Right.
so don't let the clerk at the gun store tell you otherwise. Or just keep your stuff up to date. That works too.
That's a thought. Yeah.
All right, switch. Yeah, you mean I have to do a background check? Yeah. Has everybody seen the comic, the gun control comic, where like the ladies at the gun counter? Like, if anybody hasn't seen that, shout out in the chat, and I'll download that real quick because I just sent that to Elias earlier today. So, anyway, I think I saw a new name in here. Riemann Scimitar. Yes, there are places releasing inmates. The way it's working in Indiana. Let me start with that. A lot of the county jails and small city jails are releasing nonviolent offenders into basically a house arrest, which the way the Indiana Penal Code works, that's something that like you do half and half, I think it is, or you can do half and half. And then violent offenders are being moved to actual penitentiaries. They're actually being sent from the county jails to penitentiary. So at least in the state of Indiana, they're not just releasing violent offenders back into circulation. But there are people getting commuted or home sentences.
Yeah, and that's where the libertarian in me goes, all right, you know what? This is a good indication of if they're not that dangerous, then we need to rethink our penal code.
Yeah.
That's the libertarian in me. Non-violent offenders probably don't need to be in a maximum security prison.
George Washington, my family and friends didn't need a 4473 for the P80 build I made for them. Yes, and if you find a P80, I mean, it's just a checkbox that says, yes, I agree that I am 21. Kind of like buying ammunition. Oh, wait, no. Hang on. That's interstate commerce. That's. I am not advocating that anybody commit a felony. I would also never advocate that you violate your conscience. So.
This show's for entertainment purposes only.
The things expressed on Tactical Review are the opinions of the idiots on camera only. Okay. All right. George Crossing.
And sometimes the people in the chat.
Right. Northeast Pennsylvania Gun Talk. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We're in Indiana. The rest understand. Yeah, hey, good old Indiana ditchweed. Wait, no, that's something else.
Oh, so I want to jump back over to Villanueva.
Yeah, have at it.
Yeah, because I think this is a good indication of how the federal government actually did something right. So he pretty much decided, he gets the order from emergency management, shut down non-essential businesses. He decides that, or at least in his mind, I don't want to project on him that he had ill will or anything like that, but in his mind, firearms, ammo shops, things like that also did not need to be open. They were not groceries, they're not selling medication, and I'm hoping that's where his mind was. But he goes ahead and closes them all off. Obviously, that raises a huge stink in California, brings in the NRA to file lawsuits, things like that. He retracts it. In his statement, he actually says that one of the reasons he retracted it was he went back and reviewed the federal recommendations. And the federal recommendations say that firearms and selling of ammo is an essential business. Mm-hmm. And that's what caused him, he claims that's what caused him to open it back up. Now, I don't know his mind, but I do think it's one of those things where the federal government actually did something right.
Yeah. Now then, here we go. Let's go back to the libertarian. Let's go back to, We're calling this constitutional considerations. What are your thoughts on a locality, a city, a county, whatever it is? What are your thoughts on them closing gun stores?
From a constitutional perspective, I don't have a problem with it. I've said before that I'm not a big fan of the fact that the Bill of Rights has been applied to the states. That was not the original intent, and that, to me, is a misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment. While you do not need local government to approve FFLs and things like that, you are still running a business, which means the local government does still have authority over business licenses. So if it is done at the same time as shutting down other businesses, I don't necessarily have an issue with it from a locality standpoint, as long as they're not singled out. If they're singled out, the libertarian in me is still going to say, okay, well, you know what, that's local government. This is the way the system was designed, but I'm still not going to be happy about it. And I'm still going to make sure, if I live in that area, I'm still going to make sure that is brought up in future elections.
Right. Well, and I think, yeah, it goes back to being singled out. And in some of these places, bars, or not bars, but like liquor stores were allowed to remain open where firearm stores were closed. So I guess you're saying basically the severity of the lockdown
correct. I mean, if they're shutting everything down, then I can see, okay, I can see it. Like I said, I don't want to assume ill will in somebody, especially there's the old adage, don't ascribe to maliciousness what can be, ascribed to stupidity or ignorance or anything like that. Shouldn't say stupidity, ignorance in this case. So I don't want to necessarily say he was being malicious. But because of the fact that all the other ones are closing, if his mindset was thinking grocery stores, medical, I can see where he would have gone that way. The federal government is thinking of it from a personal protection standpoint, as well as honestly from a hunting standpoint too.
Right.
Don't discount the fact that part of this is also having to do with hunting.
Right.
We still have parts of this country where people, especially if you start looking at like Native American lands, where they do still hunt frequently for their main source of food. It could have been that he didn't let the liquor store stay open and then close that, or he didn't let Kohl's stay open and close the gun shop. So,
right,
that's kind of my thought on it.
And Greg, you're absolutely accurate, or you're absolutely correct there. And I think Elias and I, neither one would ever advocate. Obviously, neither of us would be advocating they close gun stores. I think we're
no, and that's why I said my next election, I would be making sure that was one of those topics that's brought up. However, I would never say that what they're doing is illegal. I think it would be illegal. I would just disagree with it, and therefore want the person responsible for it out of office.
And this is a good time to bring up. Pay attention to what normal ammo prices are. What we're seeing right now is probably going to be the cheapest it is. Once this batch of freight is gone, supply and demand indicates that it's going to increase. And I think that we're going to see some sort of ammo scarcity. We're going to see at least partially inflated prices. Now, I'm not talking cheaper than dirt inflation, but inflated prices. At least 12 to 18 months, guys. I just...
Yes, the rules of economics mean that this is not the highest price we're going to see.
Right.
And we're going to start seeing that in a lot of things as the economy gets hit harder with this. So definitely, if you need some, grab some now. Don't wait for the prices to go lower, because they're not likely to go lower. They're likely to kind of, like I said, slight increase over time. It's going to increase a little bit and especially as this virus continues to kind of disrupt everything.
Right.
Because all it's going to take is, the companies that are making it, once they have people that are infected and they have to slow down production because not everybody's at work.
Right.
That's going to kind of take up. So,
kind of start gauging, and obviously the longer you've been in firearms, the better you have an idea of what normal pricing is. And then when you have the opportunity, absolutely, it's a great idea. And I'm not saying it's cheap. We all know, and I've said it so many times in my videos, this is not a cheap hobby. Okay, if you are a hobbyist firearms person, it's not a cheap hobby. As a matter of fact, there's an old saying that says little boys never grow up, we just get taller and our toys get more expensive. And I mean, seriously, Cars, yeah, when you're a kid, it's like a 99-cent Matchbox car, and then, yeah, I've been a gearhead a little bit through the years. I've been a little bit of a like car audio guy. I like guns. Everything I like is kind of expensive. But I would call like absolute bare bottom, consider it scraping the bottom of the barrel, is like 200 rounds of defensive ammo and 500 rounds of ball. And that you should be considering scraping the bottom of the barrel. Yeah. And then obviously, I mean, ideally a minimum of a couple thousand rounds of range ammo or appropriate amounts of reloading gear, you know. And that's the thing, is that when I have the money, I don't have the time to reload, and when I have the time, I never have the time to reload. And that's one of the reasons that I've never set up a reloading area. And I'm kind of kicking myself, because if I had the time, it would be right now, and then I could be going out to the range.
Well, you know, like we said before, this is the learning time.
Correct.
This is a small scale thing of what you do prepare for, and it gives kind of a taste. And the big thing to take out of all this is going to pass. Use the lessons learned to go forward. You know, correct. So for the people who don't have all that extra ammo and range ammo, so that. Get it. We've seen it now. This is the second time in
a decade,
10 years. Yeah, 10 years that we've seen prices jump up.
Right.
And we've seen scarcities because of panic buying. So just like with the toilet paper, just like with anything else, don't panic buy. Prepare instead, and then when this happens, you can just go, yeah, whatever.
And here's the thing.
And you're fine.
That order I placed earlier today, it was from Bass Pro Shop, so there you go. It was their Herter, Herter brand. It's their house brand. Yeah, it's back ordered 8 weeks, but I think for brass case ammunition, I still only paid 18 or 19 cents a round for 9mm, which is actually pretty close to average. No. So I would also say at this juncture, okay, April 1 of 2020. So if you're watching this later, don't use these prices as your basis. I still would not pay more than 40 to 42 cents a round for brass case 223 5.56. I would grit my teeth to pay 25 to 28 cents a round for steel case 223. And that's range ammo. Obviously, once again, 60 cents to $1 a round for defensive ammunition in any caliber for intermediate or pistol cartridges is kind of common. So, and again, that's not 44 Magnum. I'm talking kind of your general everyday carry loads. So, anyway, there you go. A lot of stuff rolling. Got the books, Hornady reloading and stuff. And right now, guys, it's not like the internet's down. There's a lot of good information out there about loads, about powder to buy. And back to ammoseek.com, that you can search for reloading components on there too. Not the actual hardware, but you could search for your powders and it's a little more fiddly than it is searching for ammunition. But yeah, and a lot of that stuff you can buy at your local farm store. You're going to pay more, sometimes considerably more. But I know I can go up to my local stock and field store, and they have tumbled clean brass. They have the pills, they have the powder, they have primers, they have everything on shelf. Or they did a week and a half ago when I was last in there. So. Yeah.
And that might not be a bad idea, because right now the logistics system is kind of stressed too, so things will take a little bit longer. So
absolutely, I placed an order through the Kroger, basically their curbside pickup thing, and yeah, it's a 4-day order out to get your pickup time scheduled. So, although I'm fingers crossed that I think that maybe will mean that I have a better likelihood of getting everything on my list too.
Yeah, that's true.
Anybody considered using PCP air rifles to put food on the table? That's a good idea, and there's a lot of high quality. And as a matter of fact, you can do things like Texas, or I don't remember the name of the company. There's one that has an integrally suppressed 47 caliber air rifle. And because it's an air rifle and not a firearm, you don't have to have a tax stamp on that suppressor. So Demolition Ranch has a couple of really cool air rifle videos. And those air rifles can get kind of salty. And then, of course, for small game, you can use a regular 17 caliber pellet as well. In a lot of states, okay, I'm going with Indiana. But, you know, in some states you can hunt deer with 223, and in Indiana it's considered too small of a cartridge, so there's that. Loading 40 for the price of 9mm, about $8.50 a box. Reloading 300 black for about 25 cents a round. Absolutely, yeah. Careful smelting lead, that stuff will kill you. Absolutely. If you well, if you're using a standard media tumbler, all that stuff, you want to make sure to have proper PPE, or get lead poisoning. When you're using reclaimed lead, if you're swedging your own, like jacketed bullets and stuff, remember that some of that, like if you're using wheel weights, those are fine for cast lead projectiles, but it's a it's a blend, so it doesn't always swedge properly through your rounds and stuff. Going off of the things I've picked up, even though I don't reload, I've watched a lot on it. So if you are going out and playing Brass Goblin at your local range, all those 22 rimfire casings that everybody's passing up, you can anneal those and you can use those to make jacketed 223 bullets. Just FYI. Lead gas to tend with. 200 yards. Sorry guys, I'm just reading through the chat comments. Went for some 45 Colt ammo, not a single box in 3 stores. Yeah, I can see that. Black powder is an option, and the cool thing with black powder is that stuff is technically not firearms. So if you do something crazy like order a Navy Colt revolver, for instance, that can be shipped directly to your house. You don't have to deal with an FFL. Now, you're not going to have the same kind of reloading speeds and stuff. Although, here's another fun fact. They make conversion cylinders for those old black powder revolvers. And you can actually convert those into cased cartridge firearms. And all of that stuff is non-4473. So you order the revolver to your house, you order the conversion cylinder to your house, you order your ammunition to your house, and the good old ATF can just go scratch. Unconstitutional law enforcement division, anyway. All right. None of them.
That's just one of many.
Yes. One of many. Okay. Try to scroll back up here. And do we have any Idahoans in the house by chance? Because I want to congratulate Idaho for passing constitutional carry. Governor Holcomb, Indiana Congress, hint, 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 hint.
Yeah.
But not only that, they have just said, look, if you are an American in good standing, it applies to you. It doesn't matter if you have an Idaho driver's license, if you're within the borders of our state, constitutional carry. Good job. Congratulations. We need more states to do that. Especially, you know, that's what I would love. That's what I would really love to see President Trump push right now. Is with so many localities clamping down or not doing fingerprinting due to, I mean, obviously you've got to come in personal contact in order to fingerprint somebody. So, I mean, I get the medical logistical reason that a sheriff's department would quit doing fingerprints for CCWs. My problem isn't with the sheriff's department making that choice. My problem is with the fact that a CCW is even a thing. Because, once again, the Second Amendment doesn't say the right to keep and bear arms should not be infringed as long as you have an identification card. So, anyway, this would be a perfect time for somebody in the Senate somebody in the House, somebody say, you know, in this time of national hardship, we are putting extra undue hardship on people's right to self-defense, to preserve their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Nationwide concealed carry. Now, it'd get shot down probably in the Dem-controlled House, but
oh yeah,
it'd be a great thing to put out there.
Let me put it this way: when they couldn't even figure out how to do it, when the Republicans ran both chambers, they had their chance in 2016, 2017, and that bill just kind of died off also.
Right. We've talked about this before, that should have been like, yeah. Yeah, I'd like a number 3, hold the tomatoes, extra cheese, large fries, biggie size that crap.
I won't get into it right here. I want to see real quick. HR 38, which was the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act of 2017. It passed the House, but I believe then it went to the Senate and died in the Senate. And the Republicans ran both. And this is my frustration with Republicans, is they, even when they were in control, they barely can manage to work nicely enough together to agree on what to have for lunch.
Well, and that just goes back to, traditionally, people say, oh, if you're pro-gun, you need to vote Republican. And guys, none of them are our friends.
Right.
And it seems like the further up you go, the worse it is. You know, there's an old saying that says power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's the more power or perceived power that a level of government has, the worse they are about. And that's a blanket statement. I get that. I'm not saying that they're all, you know, but there's enough of them, obviously.
Yep.
Look at, okay, love it or hate it, want it, don't want it, I don't even remember what they're calling it now, but the stimulus plan.
All right.
Look at all of the fluff. Look at all of this is supposed to be about helping people, but everybody's got to have their fingers in the pie and their little pet projects and their... Mm-hmm. But then there's the amount of misinformation that's going on. Actually, that's a good topic that wasn't even on our set list, but you and I talked about this last week after the stream and last Thursday, I think, because there's so much going around about, you know, how many millions that are being put in for Congress. You remember what I'm talking about? Because you looked that up and you said,
which one was that?
Oh man, this goes.
Sorry, I got distracted. I was looking at the chat and I got distracted.
This goes.
Even though I know you were talking to me.
This one goes back a week when, after, because it was, I think it was after our stream that it passed unanimously.
Oh right.
And then immediately there were, and they're pretty like influencers that I follow and I like their content on like Instagram. But there were like $25 million earmarked for Congress.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so on the surface, just at a glance, that looks like, are you kidding me? Your, you know, $200,000 paycheck's not enough. You've got to...
Right.
And you got looking into that, correct?
Yeah. And it's one of those things of, you know, you get one person who grabs onto it, and whether they know that what they're looking at is not what they're about to portray it to be, or they latch on to something and don't actually read the full bill. People were upset because they saw $25 million marked for the House of Representatives for salaries and expenses between now and 2021. But however, even if they don't use it, then at least $5 million will be kept until it's expended. And people were throwing a fit about it, talking about it being for Congress. But if you look, every single department within the government was getting that kind of amount, but not that exact amount. It kind of went back and forth. Like, for instance, Health and Human Services had $100 billion. From what I can tell, looking through it, what it actually is doing is making sure that in a case like this again, we don't have to wait for Congress to take 3 weeks to pass a bill. They at least have some funds that they can immediately dole out while they are putting together a bill like this.
Right.
But you got to actually take a look at it, and you have to look at the whole picture instead of just kind of honing in on that. And what really upsets me are the people who know what they're doing, and they do it on purpose just to aggravate, just to kind of incite issues.
Right. Well, and in that same vein, it kind of goes back to sensationalism. And sensationalism definitely will stimulate people to action, even if that action is just hitting share on Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
But it's something. And so, ironically, one of the things that, well, it's right in tonight's title, don't give in to sensationalism.
Yeah.
So this morning, I have, like, my email, I was working really hard to get to inbox 0. It was a year and a half ago, and I got my personal inbox down to, I was finally under 2,000 emails in the inbox, and I was so happy about that. And yeah, I don't even know what my current inbox count is, but part of that is because I get action notices from Gun Owners of America, from Firearms Policy Coalition. I get daily roundups from Ammo Land News, and I really like those resources overall. But one of the things that we talked about last week was House Resolution 5717, and then Senate Bill 32. I don't remember. It's Elizabeth Warren's version of House Resolution 5717.
Yeah.
And so this morning at about 7:45, 8 o'clock, I don't know, I get this email from Firearms Policy Coalition, and I wholeheartedly support FPC. They're one of the organizations I'm a member of. I use their action links a lot. I share their action links a lot. They and GOA, Johnny on the Spot, about bringing lawsuits against governments. Usually they co-sign those lawsuits, and let's face it, most levels of government, the best way to get their attention is to hit them in the wallet. So, but I'm trying to scroll back and find that headline, because it was just keeping in mind.
Oh, the one you sent me?
I sent this. I forwarded this email to Elias, but this email says 2020's gunpocalypse has just taken one step closer to passing. So, and I got that this morning. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's moved out of committee, it's going to the floor, it's what's going on here. And that's, what is that, 11 days behind the curve? Is that what that is?
Yeah, so the email referenced that it had been referred to the subcommittee on crime and something or other. I can't remember the exact full title of the subcommittee, but the subcommittee on crime on the 10th of March, which is a normal thing. Any bill that's introduced into the House immediately goes to the proper subcommittee. But the thing was also the fact that it was talking about the sensationalism made it sound like something had just happened.
Yeah.
Except that the House is in recess until April 20th. So nothing could be, they're not even having hearings on it right now because nobody's in Washington. They're all back in their districts. So that's when you and I started talking about the sensationalism earlier, right, of how it hurts our case. It hurts your movement when you kind of do that kind of thing, because now everybody's going to start getting mad, upset. But the fact is, nothing had happened.
Absolutely.
Now they could have sent something. It's not one step closer to anything. Hundreds of bills are introduced every legislative session that go into subcommittees and die. So there was not one step closer to anything. Now, what would have been better is on the 10th or the 11th, if an email had come out and said, hey, this bill has been introduced and sent to the subcommittee.
Right.
You know, want to make you aware of it, make sure you let your representatives know how you feel about it. And that would have been it. But we feed on the sensationalism in this country.
Now, unfortunately, that if you're a reasoning and reasonable person, now I have to sit there and say, great, so is Firearms Policy Coalition a trustworthy source?
Exactly.
Now, don't get me wrong. They need funding, and we need to take action on things. And so sometimes that's how you have to word things. Unfortunately, well, how many people, how many of us even are sitting here going, well, crap, I need to buy ammunition, and I've been putting it off. And what did it take to spur us to finally go, I need to do this? Well, it's a panic. So we are kind of hardwired, most of us, again, a hasty generalization here, but we're hardwired to not do something until we have to do something. And it's an efficiency thing, obviously. If you don't have to and you do it, you're wasting energy. But by the same token, it gets us to the point that until something is sensationalized, we ignore it. Well, I've flipped the opposite way, and all of this sensationalism aggravates me. And if you want to make sure I'm not going to share something, do one of those things like, if you scroll past this without sharing, you're heartless. You've just guaranteed that I'm going to scroll past it without sharing.
Well, that's just because you are heartless.
That's besides the point. I got $10,000 for my heart, okay? The world's only living heart donor. All right, what's going on over here in the chat?
You won't believe what number 5 is.
Stop it. Stop. Greg says they forget who pays their salaries. Yes, they do. We have that opportunity.
Well, no, I actually put in there, it's not necessarily, they haven't forgotten. It's just that we don't give them enough. The PACs and the super PACs, the corporations, they're the ones paying their salary, and that's what they would rather have.
Unfortunately.
Go out there and vote.
Correct.
Get rid of these clowns.
You know, I hate to use the term because of the connotation and everything, but it's not wrong. Drain the swamp.
Yep. I
mean, yeah. 3225 Riemann Scimitar says, I think that's correct.
Yeah.
I saw somebody, I think it was Greg, said it was Texan air guns, and that is the brand. Yes, and that was the brand I was thinking of.
Those. I've been looking at those for a while.
One of these days. High quality stuff. It's one of those things that to me it probably makes a lot of good sense because once again it's not a firearm.
Right.
On the other hand, I like things that make smoke and noise. So, poor conservative, telling people to hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Absolutely, like, share, subscribe, all of those awesome things. So
that the bill is pretty much a. Let's bring the Illinois, what do they call it, the FOID card, to the federal. You would have to have a permit to buy ammo, to buy firearms. It's a permission to be a firearms owner. We're not even talking about carrying, just owning it. It's also going to ban a whole bunch of different firearms. And actually, when you read the description of how they classify it, it cracked me up. I think my garden hose may have been part of it.
From what I'm hearing,
it's pretty bad.
It reminds me a lot of the England of the UK's firearm laws.
Yeah.
What's crazy there is, in some ways, the UK is less restrictive than California. So.
Now the good thing is, it might go out of subcommittee. It might make it out of committee, but it's not going to pass the House. Last year they tried an assault weapons ban, just that by itself, and they couldn't even get all the Democrats to line up for it. And worst case scenario, somehow it actually makes it out the door and it goes to the Senate. There, it's definitely going to die in committee,
right?
As well as the Senate bill that Warren introduced. But again, like we've said before, it's more of just you need to be alert, make sure that you know these things are out there, and make sure that your congressman remembers your feelings on it.
Right, and absolutely.
And if your congressman doesn't go along with it, then kick him out.
If you have not done anything to reach out to your representatives, to your congressman, about the Senate bill and House resolution, absolutely go to, I think it's fpc.org. You know what? Link in the description. And I know that gunowners.org, link in that, where's that? Link in the description. I link those in all of my videos because I think we do need to support those organizations. Now the NRA, if you're a member for whatever reason, that's on you, but I'm not giving them any of my money until they drain their own swamp. But that's my opinion, not necessarily the opinion of the business and associates. Anyway, gun owners and firearm policy have action links that will, you fill out your name and address, it pulls up all of the relevant people, and you can modify the form letter.
But one thing to talk on that, I think for the most part that's good. Most of us, a lot of us, I should say, really live in areas that are solid.
Right.
In Indiana, most districts, for instance, in Indiana are red, and if they were to turn blue, that'd be really surprising on a congressional level.
Right.
And the ones that are blue, well, like if you live in California, I'm sorry, that's the way it's going to be. Probably you got too many other people there that don't really know what they're talking about. But especially for you guys who are living in areas where it really either it kind of sits on the fence and can go either way, or for instance, you may be in a district that has a more left-leaning Republican because that's what he's got to do to stay in power, or a blue dog Democrat. Make sure that you let them know. And that one, I wouldn't say use a form. Make the phone call. Because that way it makes sure that they remember that they're barely hanging on to their seat.
Right.
And it could easily flip the other way if that Democrat is sitting, if that right-leaning Democrat sitting in a district where he could easily lose to a Republican. It'll remind him that he can lose votes very easily, and vice versa. If that's a Republican sitting in a place where he can easily go Democrat, and all the Democrat has to do is say, hey, I'd vote against this, and he's going to lose his job. It'll remind him, you better toe the line, and you're done.
Right.
So I would say in those districts where it's not quite so definite red or blue, make sure you actually call into them and talk, because that will send a louder message than a web form.
Oh, absolutely.
The web form is good for the ones who just remind them and that they don't ever, stray from it. But yeah.
Well, and once again, kind of talking to what you said there about so many of our districts. I mean, Indiana is a very red state overall. We talked about this, one of our early live streams, the assault weapons ban that was introduced by one of the Indianapolis senators here at the state level here in Indiana.
Yeah.
I emailed my district senator, but that wasn't a form letter. I mean, I had to email her directly, and she emailed me back, was very gracious, and I appreciated that. And never discount the power of snail mail. There is something definitely powerful about you taking the time to type up a letter, not a manifesto, a letter. Those are different things entirely.
One page, people, one page.
And, go out and spend your time. And yes, I realize it's like 55 cents to mail a letter now. I get that. Before too long, it'll be cheaper to use the USPS flat rate envelope to send a single page letter. But anyway, speaking of which,
it shows a certain level of dedication,
right,
that you cared enough to go through that trouble. Anybody can click on a link, put their name in and hit send.
Right.
But to actually go through the trouble of writing a letter shows a little bit. And if you get enough people doing that, again, and if you live in a state like Indiana where the legislature goes down for about 2 months and then goes back to their districts, your state representatives live in your community. Go talk to them. A lot of them are business owners, lawyers, or whatever,
right,
what have you. Go and talk to them in person.
Yeah. And that's the way that the federal legislators should still work.
It's the way it was designed. That's the way it was supposed to work.
Some people, it's so much more work now. That's only because we've let them make it that way. They have created their own job security. It'd be like, as an IT guy, if I go in and I put some sort of time bomb in the software-wise, not a physical time bomb. I just got flagged again by the ATF. Anyway, I put some sort of, time-sensitive coding in the Wi-Fi controller, just so that, right as they're getting ready to can me for my poor performance, well, now there's an emergency and I can show myself to be a hero. You know, that's kind of what the federal legislature has done. Is there's now so many laws on the books. I really think that we need to just, if we hold on to the Declaration of Independence and we hold on to the Constitution and the amendments and we scrap everything else and we start back and we give everything, really, we can use the Constitution, or specifically the amendments. The Constitution in many ways is just how the government's supposed to work.
Correct.
And then the amendments are like, well, here's some further limitations on where the government needs to just butt out.
Right.
Right. But let's just start with, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people, here, we'll do it that way, all people are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And just give everything. It's like, okay, I want to go out here today and I want to hold up this liquor store and rob them. Well, I am potentially, or I'm certainly infringing somebody's right to their pursuit of happiness. I'm threatening their right to life, and financially I'm threatening their liberty. Okay, that's a no-go, and obviously I don't think that should be.
But here's the fun thing. Here's the fun thing, though. That's not even said at the federal level. Murder and stuff like that has been always state level. Until Brown, I think, I'm not sure if he started it, but he really kind of made it big, was Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover, and the FBI. Until then, all that kind of stuff was all held down at the state level, which is where it belonged.
Right.
The federal government was only charged with so much. I mean, you're talking about like the Commerce Department, interstate commerce, managing treaties, currency, things like that, things that affected the entire country no matter what.
Right.
Outside of that those are the only laws that should really exist. It's kind of like the Department of Education shouldn't exist. Department of Human and Health Services, in all reality, shouldn't exist.
The ATF shouldn't exist.
Should not exist. You know, I mean, now the states could have made their own.
Shh.
But the federal government, well, that's the whole idea. When California does it, you just don't live in California.
Right.
But the federal government, yeah, I mean, all those laws that we have on the federal books, many of them should not exist. Actually, I'd say most of them should not exist. But that's neither here nor there. But
right, and that's one of those things is that, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, like in 2016 when the Republicans had both houses of Congress. It's a matter of, we need to look at no longer just holding, because we've been infringed so far. We need to start looking at seeing if we have candidates out there, and whenever possible. And of course, all we can have is their word during campaign time, but we need to be trying to choose candidates who are going to actively try to gain back some of the liberties that we've allowed to be infringed over the years. But that's neither here nor there. And you know, that's another conversation though that you and I have had on the side of all of the things that we the people have allowed over all these decades. And I think by and large the people who are who are watching this stream right now aren't going to be the ones that we need to talk to. But guys, staying at home, social distancing, this isn't the place to jump up on your soapbox and be going, "Don't tread on me."
Right. It was back in 2001 when Patriot Act came out. That was the time to do it.
Right. You know.
And now everybody ignored that, and all of a sudden now we have today, and this is what everybody wants to. This is the hill they want to die on.
Right. Whereas instead, what we're going to do is we're going to kill each other. But once again, it was a decent day today, and I looked across the street at the park, and there's a bunch of idiots who are over at the basketball court. They don't get it. Of course, right now we have like one confirmed case in my county, and anyway,
it's gonna continue. You're not gonna be able to stop it. At least the most people are doing it. But I mean, the civil liberties, that's the area where we need to be focusing on. And so, you know, the encouragement needs to go out. Don't vote for the guy just because he's got an R behind his name. Don't vote for the guy just because he's been doing it for years.
Right.
Go help the other guy. Go help him in the primaries to get the election. And in all reality, be very careful about being a single issue voter. Make sure you're looking at both of them. I mean, I honestly do every single time look at both the Republicans and the Democrats, because sometimes you will find a Democrat that is not really for gun control, or at least nothing further than what's already there.
Right.
And you need to make sure that, but they are against surveillance, for instance, whereas the Republican is over here going, hey, it's not a problem at all. So
right.
Look at both of your candidates. Don't just go with, okay, he's a Republican, so I'm going to vote for him, because they're not always the best one, right? And this is the part I've been really stressing the last couple of things, is neither of them are on your side.
Right.
At this point, you have to force them to be on your side. So look at both of them and see.
Right. All right, what's going on? Greg pointing out assault weapon. I hate that term, assault weapon. It makes sense when we are talking about, in the military parlance, an assault rifle is literally an assaulter's rifle.
It's the rifle you use for assaulting.
Right, exactly. And so that's typically, it's a select fire weapon. It's what the guys, that's in comparison to a sniper rifle or a squad automatic weapon or a light machine gun. It's a classification for basically a military MOS. It's the kind of thing that a grunt's going to have, right? And I say that with the utmost affection, all of my ground pounders who join the stream. Assault is a verb. All right, so if I pick up, look what I have here. I have a handy dandy, nicely painted AK-47 magazine. Feel free to go back and watch my last video if you want to see how this went from black to this. If I take this and smack you in the head with it, I have assaulted you, and this has become a weapon.
Right.
If I stab you in the eye, this is now an assault weapon. Right now it's an ink pen. And that drives me nuts. Look, we had 3.75 million NICS requests made last month.
Mm-hmm.
Resulting in who knows how many firearms sold. And we have had 0 active shootings. As a matter of fact, I mean, we still have some cities, like I remember seeing a week or 2 weeks ago that I think it was in Cleveland, Ohio. The mayor had to make a public announcement begging people to quit shooting each other because they have other things to worry about right now in their health system. But that's just because those folks are idiots, By and large, I think that the crime rate is on a major decline thanks to social distancing, because people aren't. Now, I give it about another week or two before my wife's name is in the news, because I've finally driven her to the point that she's felt like she needs to just stab me in the liver. But don't hold it against her, guys. As a matter of fact, why don't you guys crowdfund to get her a good lawyer, because I am really a miserable person to be around. So, there's that. All right, well, everybody out here in the chat, we've had some good chat going on tonight, Elias. What's new in you guys' world? Are any of you fortunate enough to be essential or able to work from home? Are any of you guys struggling hard? You need us to know that? Feel free to let us know. As always, if you'd like to help the channel, that's a thing you could do. If I can help in any way, absolutely feel free to hit me up. I can't guarantee that I can help, but I can at least be a listening ear, or maybe direct you to somebody who can. Guys, we're all in this together, and that's not just COVID-19. That's not just the Second Amendment. That's, being decent human beings to each other. So, TPC, no, I'm not saying. I'm probably the one that needs disappeared. No. Oh. No, after I gotcha. I'm with you now. I wouldn't worry about it too much. We live in rural Indiana. We have friends who are hog farmers. They can make corpses just be nothing but a couple of loose molars.
This took a dark turn.
Oh, she's got cousins who are in law enforcement. She's okay. She's got this. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. I think that we covered. Elias, was there anything that I had sent your way that you can recall that we haven't hit on
That's a
here
great
tonight?
question. That was a great question because the last time I asked you what you're going to talk about, you said I didn't know.
Well, that's true. There is no minute like the last minute for getting things done. That's words to live by, guys. Don't be like me. Have a plan. Have
No, no, you covered what you sent me.
Okay. Well, guys, has there been? I don't think I haven't seen any like major news. Once again, with things being
Everything's quiet right now. Yeah.
things being with everybody being kind of locked down, whether forced or not. There's not a lot of 2A news, and
They're too busy selling out of everything to have any news.
right. So yeah, hey, if you guys need some, let me find the doodad. Do I not have? I really don't have that in here. Are you kidding me?
What's that?
Oh. It's just a couple clicks away. It's I can probably position this right in between our heads. Actually, put it in the corner over by you. How about that? Nope. Up at the top. There we go. If you guys need some nice 2A threads, you can get those over on the channel store. Quick way to get there, I've got a link in the description, or you can go to bit.ly/TR-merch. That stuff comes from Teespring. I don't know what their backlog looks like right now, obviously, because they, like everybody, are dealing with shipping delays and whatnot. Definitely, if you're not following the channel on social media, you should be doing that. You can do that over on Facebook and Instagram.
No, I actually have things to talk about too. No, I actually have things I want to talk about too because those bills brought up some good ideas in terms of legislative process that annoy me really bad. Yep. Yep. Hey, I am being told that you are muted. I'm getting messages that people can't hear you. And it looks like TPC just mentioned it too.
How about now? Oh, the next one's going to be the zombie creating.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
They can hear you again.
Okay, great. Well, that's funny because your chat is ahead of mine, obviously. Well, thanks for letting me know,
No,
guys.
my wife's listening, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, what we were talking about, if you guys didn't pick it up from hearing only Elias's side of that, is we were talking about since schools no longer teach civics classes because we're too busy having them be indoctrination centers, so many of us don't understand how that legislative process works, and that's where we end up saying, well, that should be illegal, and no, actually it's not, or it's within the state's rights, or it's not within the federal government's rights. So,
and that's where a lot of the confusion, like for instance, just as an example, I'm not gonna go down this route. I think everybody's heard this beat to death at this point, but a lot of people are upset that the president has not done a nationwide quarantine. He cannot. There is no legal authority that allows him to do a nationwide quarantine. It's just not allowed. The states do. The states are allowed to, but the federal government cannot. So.
All right, now Riemann Scimitar is saying I'm muted. Is he just behind the times, or
that might just be behind because I unmuted the video real quick and I could hear you.
Like, okay, yeah, that's a good point. I can do that too.
Actually, don't, because it throws me off hearing it a couple seconds behind. But
oh yeah.
So anyway, yeah, but that kind of thing. Some things are left to the state government, and some things should be left to the state government. That again contributed to that huge.
Right.
Thing. But anyway. If I talk about it here, I'll have nothing to talk about on mine.
Right? Yeah. Let's not dig into that too deep.
For those who are really bored during a time of quarantine, I'm going to try to get something out this week, and you guys can listen to me rattle on about legislative process.
Well, there you go. And by the way, Elias does have, I'm going to call it 1.5 episodes. So. Because you got that introduction episode, and then you got your episode.
And then I got one, and then I had to take a little break for some personal stuff. But
so I subscribe on Spotify. You guys can go to the website. Remind me again what that is.
LibertyReview1776.com.
That sounds right. And so anyway, you guys can go through there, pick it up. Make sure you're subscribed to him. You can follow him on Facebook. I don't think you're on Instagram, are you?
No, you keep talking to me about it, but
yeah, I don't know that you're I don't know that suits your medium as well as it suits my medium, in fairness.
I don't think so, because I'm not going to have pictures up there. I don't have fun things to take pictures of.
Well, you start.
I'll just post the Constitution over and over again.
That's what we. I feel like those little pocket constitutions.
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, if money was no object, I would buy a copy for every member of the House and Senate and have it shipped to their office. I think that'd be hilarious.
You know what's fun was it this year or was it last Congress? I can't remember if it was this Congress or last Congress when the legislative season began. The Republicans actually read the Constitution on the House floor. The Democrats protested it. They were not happy about it, but the Republicans, one of the Republicans sat there and read the Constitution on the House floor.
Good. They need reminded of it. Anyway, okay. Well, I think that we have covered everything we were going to cover and more. You guys have been wonderful. Once again, I'd appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Like the video. Well, that's what I just said. Subscribe to the channel. Share the videos with your friends. The more people we have in the chat, the better the conversation is. So, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll definitely, at least I will be back live. I enjoy it when Elias joins me, but if not, at least I'll be here again next Wednesday. Hope to have some other content out between now and then. No promises. So, you guys are amazing. Thanks for the support. Thanks for joining. Until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.